All right, in this chapter, we're switching from analyzing data to producing data. So I'm just going to go through a couple sampling techniques here. They explain it in the book, but I'm going to show you how you can use some software to make it easier. So I have a list of all the students at Seward High School last year. I just had this on my computer. So these are all the students. It has their last name, their first name, and their grade level. So the reason that we do sampling is actually the meaning of statistics is I want to try and find out some information about my population. So in that case, that might be every student at Seward High School, but I want to do that by just asking a small portion of them. If you choose your sample correctly, the small portion of them, then your results from your sample will be representative of the population or everyone that's in there. So again, the population would be every student at Seward High School. A sample might just be a few students that I picked. Okay. So the reason is they do that is it's usually impossible to contact every person in your population. So if I wanted to know the opinion of how things are going during this COVID crisis and so how the online learning was going, it would be very difficult for me to call every single student at Seward High School and talk to them. So if I randomly selected a bunch of students, maybe 15 or 20 of them, that would be a sample. Okay, and if I did that correct, the results from my sample will be pretty close to what the result of the population would be if I surveyed everyone. And that's really the foundation of statistics. Okay, so like online on the news, when they say the president's approval rating, they're not talking to every person in the United States. They're using a small sample. So how you choose that sample is important. And probably the best way is just called a simple random sample. So I'm going to start with a small population here. I just picked 5 students, okay, from my list. They happen to be at the top. There were 5 girls. So I give them each a number 1 through 5. Okay, so I could put those numbers 1 through 5 or their names in a hat, mix it up real good, and pull out 3 of them. So those 3 would be my sample that I was going to use. So just throw all the numbers in a hat. Everyone's equally likely to be chosen. Okay, I picked 3 out. Those would be my sample. That's called a simple random sample when everyone has an equally likely chance to be picked. Now, if I wanted to do sampling using technology, so again, if there's only 5, that's pretty easy. Usually we're taking bigger samples than that, but this is just to kind of demonstrate how you can do that. So again, if I'm going to use what's called a table of random digits that's in the back of the book, okay, again, I give each one of these people a number. Okay, if I throw their names in a hat, I don't have to give them a number. But if I'm going to use a table of random digits, I number those. So if there's just 5 people, it's pretty easy. I number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I go to the table of random digits that's in the back of the book in the tables. Okay, and it doesn't matter which line you start on. So remember, my people were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in here, I just pick any one of these lines. So number 1 would get picked. So remember, I'm trying to pick 3. So I'd go back here and I'd put a little check mark saying, yep, that person got picked. And then I'd go back here. We don't have a number 9. We only went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then number 2 would get picked. Okay, we already picked 2, so we skip this number. We're going one number at a time. And then we'd pick 3 after that. So we got 1, 2, and 3 would be our 3 people that got picked. Okay, so the first, the second, and the third person happened to get picked in there. Now, that's fairly easy when I only have 5 students. Okay, Now I can do this same process, a random sample, on the computer by, I'm just going to write a title up here called random. I'm going to say equals RAND parentheses parentheses, and then I'm going to fill that down. Okay. Now what that did is that actually generated a random number between 0 and 1. Okay. Now every time we pick a random sample, we're going to get different people. We won't always get the same one. That's the whole idea of random. So these were the 3 people that I got with my table of random digits in the back of the book. If I would have chosen a different line to start on, I would have got a different group. So like if I chose line 111, I would have got number 1, number 4. We don't have an 8, a 6, a 9, another 4, and then I would have got 3. So it would have been 1, 4, and 3 would have been the people that I would have got. Okay. So again, you just go through till we pick those people that we have. It gets a little more interesting when we have more than 9 of them. So we'll show you that in a second. But in here, after I generate the random number, so again, I just typed equals RAND, and I filled that down. Now I can highlight all these names and numbers, and then under data, I can say sort range, and I'm going to check this that my data has a header row because it had last name, first name, random. I don't want that sorted. That's just going to stay up there. And I want to sort by that random number that I generated. Okay, so I hit sort. So now it sorted by this random number. Now don't get confused because every time you do something, it regenerates a random number. So it doesn't look like it's sorted, but it sorted it by the numbers that were up there before, and then it regenerated another random number. Okay. So in this case, the people that would get picked would be Paige, Peyton, and then Ava. Okay. These other 2 wouldn't get picked. Now, where it becomes a problem is for the table of random digits in the back of the book is if I have a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to pick a different group over here. So let's say I'm starting out with, 40 people. Okay, instead of just 5. So I'm going to just redo all this. So if I have 40 people, I'm going to get rid of those random numbers over here. Okay, widen these out a little bit so we can see them. All right, so I got 40 different girls from the high school, and I want to pick 5 of them. So the table of random digits becomes a little bit of a pain. So again, I just number all these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops, I screwed that one up. 4, 5. Once you get a pattern going, you can grab that handle and pull down. Okay, so now because we have at least 2 digits when we get up to more than 9, we got 10, 11, we'd actually think of this as the numbers 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, etc. to use that table of random digits, which I don't like using very well. So then in here, when I looked at this, I'd have to take 2 numbers at a time. So I'm looking at this, number 19, that's in my list. Then I got 22. Then I got 39, 19, 22, 39. So I'd go back here and I'd mark number 19 got picked. Come on, get in there. Number 22 got picked. And number 39 got picked. Okay, then I'd have to go back over here. So I went 19, 22, 39. We don't have 50 people. So 34 gets picked. You just skip the ones that you don't have and keep going. So 34 gets picked. 5 gets picked. We don't have a 75. We don't have a 62. We don't have an 87. 13 gets picked, etc. Okay. So that takes quite a while. But you could do things that way, just marking them out till you had the number of students that you wanted. That's using the table of random digits, which I don't like using that much. So again, I would rather, if I just wanted to do a simple random sample, up here I'd type random, I type equals RAND, parentheses, parentheses, hit enter, and then I can double click that handle. And if I hadn't put that X in there, I can fill that all the way down until it's to all my students. Okay, so it randomly generated a number between 0 and 1 here. And I highlight all that data. And I go under the data menu. I sort the range. I tell it I have header row. And I sort it by that random number. Okay, so notice they're all mixed up here. So now, because it's sorted, if I wanted 5 people in my sample, I just pick the first 5 people. Okay, so JC, Sam, Brenna, Claire, and Ambria would be the first 5 people. And notice they're all mixed up if you look at those numbers out there. They were in order, but now these are all mixed up, just like throwing them all in a hat and shuffling up. It's a lot easier than using that table of random digits in the back of the book.